So, shall we start the session? I guess all of us, almost of people we were expecting have already joined us. So, we're just going to start our session. A very good evening to all of you.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Okay. Very good evening. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, let me thank each of you for finding time to participate in this event. Firstly, some of these children know me. My name is Elizabeth Thomas, and I'm the co-founder and chief trainer for the Tale Tellers Junior team, which is a startup licensed by Startup India and Kerala Startup Mission. We intend to create virtual interactive platform for children between 5 and 12. As we all know, the current scenario, our children don't get the opportunity to interact with each other. So we at Tale Tellers intend to create an interactive platform for children to get global exposure. Since children are fully at home now, they tend to watch a lot of TV, and they also have online classes and online sessions, which leads to a lot of increase in their screen time. So since most of our parents have expressed their concern on their child's screen time, we felt it was right to sensitize this issue and realize how important it is to manage the screen time. For this, we have Dr. Neena R. She is the senior consultant and head of Paediatric Ophthalmology at Giridhar Eye Institute, Cochin. Dr. Neena comes with 17 years of experience and is an alumnus of Trivandrum Medical College, where she did her medicine, and Shankara Netralaya, where she did her PG. So we have a doctor here with us. Doctor, over to you.
Thank you so much. So, am I audible to all?
Yes,
it's audible.
Yes.
So, let me say a very warm welcome to all the young viewers who have joined us along with their parents. And before I go to the talk proper, let me thank Tale Tellers for organizing this online platform and giving this online platform to discuss such an important issue, which is perturbing to all of us. So if at any point of time you want me to speak in Malayalam, I can do so, but I think I'll stick to English to begin with. Okay, so if any of the young tiny tots have any doubts, you can either give it in the chat box, or you can ask your parents to type in the question, or you raise your hand at the end of the session. So I'll go to the talk. So I'll start sharing my screen. Can you make me the host so that I can share the screen, please? So warm good evening to one and all. So the concern for today is we're having long hours of screen time, and many parents are concerned that it's damaging our child's vision. So I'm going to throw some light on it. So let's see. So how life has changed for us in the last 1.5 years. All of us know that the last 1.5 years, has been really bad and testing for us, isn't it? So this was how we were before the COVID-19 hit us. We were very active, both at work and at play. And now, after the COVID-19 has hit us, we have increasingly limited our activities in front of the screen. So all of us are spending hours and hours of time in front of our laptops, mobiles, or even television. So this is how the life has really changed with the COVID-19 pandemic. So with this comes an alarming increase in screen time in children also. So just like adults, children are also affected by this pandemic, and being confined indoors, they are forced to spend more and more time in front of the screens, be it in front of the television or in front of their tabs or laptops or mobiles. Coupled with this, we have also transitioned into e-learning. That means our schools have shut down since last March, isn't it? So we have only online classes now. So what do? From morning, we log on for online classes. It's going to start from June onwards, isn't it? You're going to go back to online classes from June onwards. So from morning, you log into the computer for online classes. Then what do you do in the afternoon? You log in. You go in front of your television to watch your favorite shows. Then the evening, what do? Nothing else. No outdoor plays allowed. So again, you're back in front of your video game show or mobile games. So this is how the life has changed for us. Even for the tiny ones, it has become an increasingly digital world. So the first question I want to ask, or everybody asks me, is all screen time bad? So I would say certainly not. All screen time is not bad. So it all depends on whether you have a structured screen time or whether you have an unstructured one. So what has the screen, all this online platforms, even the very platform on which we are having this webinar today is possible because of the availability of good connectivity and such platforms. So it has provided us a tool for valuable social engagement. So just like adults, children also need to talk to their friends. They need to talk to their teachers, to their relatives. So it has provided us a platform for valuable social engagement. It has given us a sense of connectedness in a time where social interaction is reduced. So we are not able to see our friends. We're not able to see our relatives. Some people are not even able to see their parents who are abroad. So it gives us a sort of connectedness with our distant, near and dear ones. It has given us options of entertainment when we have limited options. Earlier, we could send them out for playing, but now because of the pandemic, no outdoor play is allowed. So what do? So some sort of entertainment can be provided at home with the help of screens. Just like adults, the kids also, are affected by all the stress. It does, bring in a sense of anxiety and fear for them. So just like we want to watch a good movie and chill and unwind, playing games or watching some, funny videos or movies gives them a temporary escape from the reality of life. And in some cases, they can also offer stay-at-home physical activity. So all screen time is not bad. So what is definitely bad is an unstructured, unregulated screen time. So it has given us some meaningful experiences during the pandemic. So just like we are able to connect together without being physically present, I can talk to you, I can see you. Similarly, you have been able to connect to your teacher, ask your doubts. You have been, little ones have been able to see some of their friends or distant relatives, grandparents, some sort of physical activity, online yoga, online PT is also happening. Sometimes the father or mother is away at work or cannot come home for many days. In quarantine, you can connect with them over these platforms. And just like we are having this webinar, these kids are also having a group activity, and even the pandemic has not stopped them, from coming together. So all screen time is not bad. It has certainly helped us to cope up with this testing times. But we should know, to draw the line. How much is too much? So that is what I want to tell the parents and the children. So these are the recommendations by the American Academy of Pediatrics, and this was given before COVID times. What they said was that if your child is less than 1.5 years old, no screen time is allowed except probably, video chatting with loved ones. If your child is 1.5 to 2 years, no solo screen time. Again, less than 1 hour per day is allowed, but that also of high quality educational content, and only co-watching. Co-watching means watching with your parents or with your elders. 2 to 5 years, 1 hour per day. And co-watching and co-viewing and co-play is highly recommended. And if you're above 6 years, 2 hours is what they permit. But we know that with their online classes and tuitions, and after that scores of homework, we are definitely spending more than 4 hours per day in front of the screens. And that is an alarming concern. So does Government of India has, come out with any guidelines in this regard? How many of us know that the Ministry of Human Resources and Development, Government of India has set in certain guidelines? It has recommended just half an hour of screen time for pre-primary students, 2 classes of 45 minutes each for classes 1 to 8, and 4 classes of 30 to 45 minutes per day for classes 9 to 12. I'm sure the schools are complying by this, but after the classes, you're getting lots of homework on WhatsApp, email. Again, you're doing them online, and you're going to submit them, online. And then some of us are having, the kids are having tuitions online. So altogether, most of us are having more than 4 hours of screen time per day. at least the older kids. So just a brief word about the impact of excess screen time on kids' health. So this is very important. This is especially important if your kid or you have the habit of going to bed with your gadget, especially smartphones. So what happens at night, if you have a habit of sleeping with your phone just before bed, if you have the habit of, surfing on the net or playing games, it can really play havoc with your sleep. The blue light from the phone, sort of tricks your brain to believing that it's still daylight and your sleep awake cycle is totally disturbed. So you have a very poor sleep at night. And then you wake up with you're not fresh the next day. So your memory is not good. You cannot concentrate in your class. And very small children, like, preschoolers who have the habit of playing with their phones a lot, they have problems in learning, life skills, like, simple things like, tying their shoelaces or riding a bike or, building blocks. They have problems in language. They have difficulty interacting with their peers or with other children. They have problems with eating, and, they also have a lot of other issues. So overall, they have, there is a detrimental effect of excess screen time. Again, I'd like to underline that this is excess screen time on general health of the children. Today, we are here to talk about the effect of overuse of screens on the eyes. So how does this affect our eyes? So I'd like to classify it as two. One would be like short-term effects. That would mean temporary effects, which would go away if you take action at the appropriate time. And long-term effects, which happen when you use it for a very long time. So that would be like, most of us would have experienced it. If you spent a lot of hours playing games or in front of your mobile or laptops, you end up having a very irritable eye. Like, you have problems like itching, redness, tearing, burning sensation. You have difficulty in focusing. Some of us say blurry vision, headaches, and, you have generally tired eyes. And some of them even develop neck pain and shoulder pain. The long-term effects would be like, development of double vision, because you're constantly using your near apparatus to see for near. You can develop sometimes squint also. And some children, especially the ones who are prone, can develop short-sightedness or myopia. So these are the concerns that as ophthalmologists we have, when we address the overuse of screens. We did a survey at Giridhara Institute, Kochi, last August to this January 21, and it was a questionnaire-based survey to all the kids who were attending online classes. And we found that about 96% used electronic gadgets even after their online classes. Most of them were having online classes for 2 to 4 hours a day, and 96% used gadgets even after online classes, and about 28.6% said they used it for more than 2 hours per day. So this was the input that we got from our children. And if your kid is having these signs like tired eyes, headaches, difficulty in focusing, and frequent rubbing of eyes, and inability to sleep, and previously you knew that your kid had good eye vision and eye health, your kid could be suffering from digital eye strain or computer vision syndrome. So this is a new terminology which we use for these kind of symptoms called as computer vision syndrome or digital eye strain. Now, in our study, again, when we asked the kids who were having online classes, 50.8% of the kids who were having online classes had some sort of digital eye strain, and that's why they came to the hospital. So that was because of the increasing complaints of, irritation in the eyes that we did the survey, and we found that most of the kids were having digital eye strain. What happens if there is a long-term, excessive screen use? So it's a known fact that excessive near work can trigger, short-sightedness or myopia. So what is myopia? I'd say simply, you look at this picture. This is the picture of our eye, Normally, if you imagine our eye is like a camera, and every camera has a film, right? Camera has a film and on which the image is formed, isn't it? So just like that, we also have a film in our eye. And that film is called retina. So if your eyeball is longer than normal, what happens is that the image does not fall on the film. Instead, it falls in front of the retina. And so The child who has short-sightedness cannot see very well for far, but can see very well for near. So this is called as short-sightedness or myopia. So we know that, East Asian children, like children from China, Taiwan, Singapore, they are very prone to develop short-sightedness. In fact, 80% of the children in schools are having short sight in Taiwan. So we were not concerned about this probably 2 decades back, but in India too, especially in urban India, the incidence of myopia is skyrocketing now. So just a pictorial representation to show you what I mean by myopia or short-sightedness. So myopia means you cannot see very well for distance, but you can see well for near. But if you have mild myopia, that is, let's say up to -3 diopters, you can see well for near and intermediate distance, but not for very far. Moderate means you can't see well for intermediate distance also. High means you can't see well for even for near. You need to hold your books or objects very close to the eye to see. So that is high myopia, or when you have more than -6 diopters of short-sightedness. Now, why are we so concerned about this short-sightedness or nearsightedness? This is because, by 2050, it's thought that half of the world's population is going to be myopic. Can you believe that? Half of the world's population is going to have short sight. And out of which 1/4, that is a whooping 1 billion, is going to have high myopia, that is more than -6 diopters of myopia. What does that mean? Why are we so scared about high myopia? This is because high myopia is not a desirable condition. What happens is that, myopia sort of progresses as the child grows. So if you can see this eyeball, as the child grows in height, the eyeball also elongates and the film of the eye starts to stretch. And after some time, it cannot withstand the stretches and it develops breaks or thinning. And a condition called as retinal detachment happens, in which the retina kind of separates from the eye and it leads to irreparable sight loss. It can also produce, clouding of the lens called cataract, bulging of the eye called staphyloma. In a nutshell, high myopia is dangerous because it can produce irreparable sight loss. So if your kid has, let us say, -1 diopter of myopia when he or she is in pre-primary school, there is a very high likelihood that by the time he or she becomes 18 years, this can progress to high myopia, that is more than -6, -7. And all the dangers of myopia, which I explained, can happen to him or her. So we don't want this to happen. And that is why we are aiming to reduce the progression of short-sightedness right in childhood by inculcating healthy practices, by advertising for annual eye checkups and for counseling. Another alarming sign or a symptom which I saw during last year's lockdown was an increasing number of kids coming with complaints of double vision and squinting. These kids were perfectly normal. They had no issue. All they had was that they all admitted to using computer screens or laptops or mobiles for more than 6 hours. Most of them were addicts of mobile games. Some of them were PUBG addicts. And more than 6 hours they used to spend in front of the mobile, especially smartphones, for games. And they had perfectly normal vision and eyes, eyes earlier, and they suddenly started developing the squint and double vision. And most of them, did well when we cut down the screen time and gave them proper eye exercises and glasses in some cases. But about 50% had to have eye surgery to straighten their eyes. If you can see in the picture, this is post-surgery. So we felt that this was due to the long hours of sustained near work they spent on their smartphones, which was responsible for the development of the squint and double vision and the cross eye in this case. So that was an alarming concern. So last but not the least, a lot of parents ask me, what about these blue light? I've already mentioned, yes, blue light is definitely not very good for your eyes, especially if you have the habit of, using your phone a lot at night. Because what happens is that the blue light tricks your brain to believing that you're in daylight and reduces the sleep cycle, gives you a very bad night. You don't sleep well. You end up with a lot of, tiredness, and you also have reduction in a very important hormone called melatonin, which is responsible for maintaining the, sleep-awake cycle, and because of which you have problems in concentration the next day, you have mood disorders, you have eating problems, you can develop obesity. So generally, it's not advisable, especially Android phones which emit the blue light. Except for the very few high-end phones like iPhones, most of the phones now we use have blue light. So some studies have also shown that they have a tendency to penetrate right up to the retina and produce degenerations and even cataracts. But that is disputable. What we know is that the blue light can play havoc with your sleep. So it makes all the more the case for switching off your phone at least half an hour before bedtime so that you have a good night's sleep. So I have, told you a lot of things, the bad things and the good things about screen time. So all of you must be wondering, so is the case lost? Are we all doomed? We're going to have screen time. Definitely, we're going to have online classes and activities. So what are we going to do about it? So we can still, take control of the situation by adapting and adopting good practices. Like, some pearls I'm sharing with you. The first one would be to adopt healthy screen habits. I'll come to that later. Second would be to have smart screen time tips, especially for kids. Third is for the parents. That is, you have to use some sort of parental control to limit that excessive screen time. And fourth and very important would be to be the example. So when you're telling your child to switch off the phone or, stay away from the TV or laptop, you should be setting an example by doing the same. So when you're spending time with your child, make sure no gadgets are around and you are having a meaningful, engaging conversation or time with the kid. Last but not the least is engage your child in other activities so that they don't have to turn to, other screens for entertainment. Other things would be like, I've seen a lot of children and even parents, who are working from home. They'd be working on their computer. The TV would be, on in the background, and they also be having the phone next to them. And they'd be constantly checking for WhatsApp messages while they're working at the computer. That's a very bad habit. Make sure when you're working on your studying, one device at a time. So only you have one device next to you, because most of the time people who have digital eye strain have more than, two or more devices using simultaneously. So next would be, modify the workspace of your child. So it applies to adults as well as kids. So when you're working in front of the computers or studying, make sure that the screen, or the screen of your computer or laptop is at least 20 to 28 inches from your monitor, from your eyes. And the center of the screen should be slightly below eye level. So that's the most comfortable position. All those who are using smartphones for online classes, please switch over to either laptops or desktops, or even you can use your TVs to mirror your screens. So a larger medium is definitely advantageous for the kids' eyes. So make sure your child is sitting up and attending the classes. So lots of children these days, they are very lazy to even sit upright. They just, lie down and they even prop up and, they watch the classes. So that's not advisable. Make sure they have a good upright posture. The light is adequate and the light is not directly falling onto the eyes, and the light of your screen and the light in the room is, matching. And the screen of your device should be slightly tilted away, not exactly perpendicular. It should be slightly tilted away. So these are the positions which are advisable, and this is how you should work. Also, make sure that there is no excessive glare from your screen. Suppose you're using a device which has excessive glare. Either you can try to reduce the glare, or you can use a glare-resistant screen. And you can avoid direct lighting from the device. Second would be for small children, if they're having online classes, make sure that they have adequate font size so that they can see the thing, especially if they're learning alphabets or numbers. Make sure the font size is increased so that they can see well and catch up with what they're learning. Next would be making sure that your monitor is smudge-free. So take your time, ask your father or mother, or if you can yourself, you can clean the monitor with a suitable solution and keep it smudge-free. Next would be, inculcating some healthy habits, like, see what happens. Why do we develop this irritation and, discomfort after long hours of screen time? What is the reason for the digital eye strain? Basically, what happens is that your blink rate gets reduced when you're working for long hours on the screen. So just like when you're driving and your windshield becomes foggy, it is difficult for you to continue the driving. The same way, when your eyes become, dry, it becomes uncomfortable for you to carry on. So what you have to do is that take breaks and blink more frequently. What we usually advise elders is the 20-20-20 rule. That is, every 20 seconds, every 20 minutes, take a 20-second break and look at something 20 feet away. Now, this is easy to say, but sometimes it is difficult when you're working in a room in which there are no windows or something. It's difficult. So what I advise is that especially the kids, after your 30 or 40 minutes of online classes, you just go out into the balcony of your house and look outside. Just close your eyes open and look out into your open space. So what you're doing is you're relaxing your eyes. See, when you're looking at a near device, your eyes are actually doing, it's like doing push-ups, for your eyes. So after every push-up, you need to take a break. Isn't it? Continuous push-ups are not good. So your near work is something which is more strenuous for the eyes. So when you look at far, you're actually relaxing your eyes, and that's good for your eyes. So that is something which we can all follow at home. The next thing which I always tell parents is that set limits on screen time. See, this is something you can do. How long and how much, especially younger kids, how long and how much time they're spending in front of devices can be easily monitored. So you have to set guidelines. So depending on the age of the child, but you have to be reasonable. You cannot tell, a 16-year-old that, you're going to have only 2 hours of screen time from tomorrow onwards. It has to be, it has to be gradual. It has to be, explained well, and it has to be monitored. And try to make tech-free zones and tech-free times at home. So what I mean by tech-free zone is that, so when you're having food, a dining table, so dining table is going to be a tech-free zone. No gadgets are going to be allowed. So everybody, right from father, mother, and the kids, nobody will be bringing their gadgets to the dining table. Similarly, dinner time, breakfast time, lunch time, family time, all are tech-free times. So when you're sitting with your family, no gadgets. So if you start doing this yourself, your kids would naturally follow suit. Okay. So next would be that, you can use technology to your advantage. You can use parental control apps. So many, most of the platforms allow this, including Google. You can use set limits for the screen time. Another very important thing is that, co-viewing. That is, when the child is watching a program, try to go and watch with the child. Try to join in and share the fun. So that's extremely, important in creating a bond between you and your child. And if you think that it is objectionable material or content your child is watching, you can definitely, gently or firmly tell him that what's wrong with the program and advise him on watching something better. And ensure that your child has a screen-free time before bed. This is very important so that your child has a very good night's sleep and wake up fresh and, has a good day ahead. So what I would say is that, make screens a privilege, not a right. Okay. So second thing, what we can do is that engage your children. So most of the time, the parents are telling me that, there is not, that my child is not going to eat food without mobiles. My child is not going to, do homework if I don't give him that. These, reflexes we have created. So if you, engage them in other activities, they are not very particular that they need to use mobiles or laptops to cut their time. So what we can do at home is that, engage them in meaningful activities like talking to them, having a good conversation will help us to know their likes and dislikes. And if small children, we can even play with them, like, building blocks or engage them in some activities like painting or drawing. You can read a good book to them, they'll really enjoy it. And the whole family can do some group activity like, paper cutting or drawing or coloring or clay modeling, something like that. It's going to be a really fun activity for the whole family. Third thing would be to involve them. So now with the pandemic on, we have the parents are really having a tough time in their hands managing home and work, and there are lots of work at home because your maids and your helpers are not coming. So involve your children. It could be simple things like cleaning the house or gardening, or simply joining together to cook a meal, eating it together, and even doing simple things like hanging the clothes on the clothesline. So these are enjoyable activities which will give them a sense of responsibility, a sense of belonging, and they will really enjoy this. Encourage some outdoor time. Yes, that's true. Even in this pandemic, with a lot of restrictions on outdoor play, we can definitely have some outdoor time. With the use of proper masks and social distancing, we can send them down for a quick round of cycling, or we can go with them and take a brisk walk, do cycling down the apartment, or if you have space in your outside your house, all of you can join in for a good round of fun-filled games. So this is all the more important for those kids who have short sight, because an hour or 40 minutes in sunlight is very beneficial in preventing the progression of short sight. So this has been even recommended by the American Academy of Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus. That is about 30 to 40 minutes of outdoor time in mild sunlight. Last but not the least, you have to be the example. Take a break from your device. So very often I see that children ape the parents. They are actually, whatever they are doing is just a reflection of our actions. So if your child is not following, you have to introspect and ask yourself, am I doing all the right things? You have to take a break from your device. You have to digitally detox yourself. So if you follow the rules, you will be surprised that your kids will definitely follow the suit, and you won't have a tough time, in setting the limits on the screen time. So in spite of all this, if your kid still has problems, eye problems, or, it's a good idea to consult your ophthalmologist and ask for advice. If your kid, whether your kid has eye problems or doesn't have eye problems, it's a good idea to have an annual eye checkup. This is because most of the children will not, tell us that they have difficulty in seeing. Most of the time, it's the parents or the teachers who find out that they cannot see well for distance. Now with the online classes, teachers are not there to help us. At home, all the kids are doing near activity. There is no stimulus for distant vision. So we may easily miss kids with problems for distant vision. So it's a must. Whether they have eye problems or not, annual eye checkup is a must. If your kid has eye problems, you please follow the instructions of your ophthalmologist and accordingly have regular checkups. So thank you. Be happy to take some questions if you have any.
Thank you, Doctor. Thanks a lot. That was very, very informative. നമുക്ക് ഒത്തിരി ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഒത്തിരി ആൾക്കാർ പല ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസും ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിനേക്കാൾ മുമ്പ് എൻ്റെ പേര് തോമസ് വർഗീസ് എന്നാണ്. ഞാൻ ടെയിൽ ടെല്ലേഴ്സിന്റെ ഫൗണ്ടറാണ്.
I know.
I was just trying to introduce everybody else. Yeah. So there are a lot of questions that is coming. കുറെ questions already നമുക്ക് വന്ന് ഇരിക്കുന്ന കുറച്ച് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസും ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതിനകത്ത് ഒരു ഫസ്റ്റ് ഞാനൊരു 1-2 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആയെന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നിയത് ഞാനൊന്ന് ഫസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം. അത് ഫസ്റ്റ് തിങ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, എവിടെയാണ് നമുക്കൊരു സൈൻ മനസ്സിലാവുന്നത്, കുട്ടിക്ക് കണ്ണിനൊരു പ്രശ്നമുണ്ടെന്ന് മനസ്സിലാവുന്ന ഒരു സൈൻ എന്താണെന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഫസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ വരുന്നത്. സോ ഹൗ ഡു യു ലൈക്ക് ടു ടേക്ക് ദാറ്റ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ, ഡോക്ടർ?
ഓക്കെ, ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, ചെറിയ കുട്ടികള് ഒരിക്കലും പറയില്ല അവർക്ക് കണ്ണിന് പ്രോബ്ലം ഉണ്ടെന്ന്. ഓക്കെ, അവരൊരിക്കലും പറയില്ല അവരുടെ കണ്ണിന് പ്രോബ്ലം ഉണ്ടെന്ന്. സോ മിക്കവാറും അത് പേരൻസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ടീച്ചേഴ്സ് ആണ് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കുക. സോ സ്കൂളിൽ പോവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ടീച്ചേഴ്സ് പറയും കോപ്പി ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ നിറയെ മിസ്റ്റേക്സ് ഉണ്ടാവുന്നുണ്ട്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നോട്ട്സ് ഒന്നും കംപ്ലീറ്റ് അല്ല, അവന്റെ കണ്ണ് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യണം. ഇതായിരുന്നു സ്ഥിരം ടീച്ചേഴ്സ് പറഞ്ഞ് കണ്ണ് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ വരും, നമ്മൾ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കും കാഴ്ചക്കുറവുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ വീട്ടിലാവുമ്പം നമുക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ ക്ലാസ്സസ് എല്ലാം ഓൺലൈൻ ആയതുകൊണ്ടും നിയർ ആക്ടിവിറ്റി ആണ് കൂടുതലുള്ളതുകൊണ്ട് ഈ ഡിസ്റ്റന്റ് വിഷൻ പ്രോബ്ലംസ് ചിലപ്പോൾ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാൻ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടായിരിക്കും. എന്നാലും യു ക്യാൻ ഫൈൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഔട്ട്, എസ്പെഷ്യലി വൈൽ വാച്ചിങ് TV. യു ജസ്റ്റ് ഒബ്സർവ് യുവർ കിഡ്. കുട്ടി എങ്ങനെയാണ് പ്രതികരിക്കുന്നത് TV കാണുന്ന സമയത്ത്. TV നമ്മളിപ്പം സാധാരണ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസിൽ സോഫയൊക്കെ ഇട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അടുത്ത് പോയിരുന്ന് കാണാറുണ്ടോ? നമ്മൾ പുറകോട്ട് ഇരുത്തിയാലും കുറച്ച് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ അങ്ങ് മുന്നോട്ട് പോയിട്ട് ഇരുന്ന് കാണുന്നുണ്ടോ? അതൊരു സൈനാണ്. ദാറ്റ് മീൻസ് ഹി ഈസ് നോട്ട് ഹാവിംഗ് ഗുഡ് വിഷൻ അറ്റ് എ പെർട്ടിക്കുലർ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ്. That is one thing. Or is he, squeezing his eyes, like irki pidichu nokkunundo.
ടിവിയുടെ കുറച്ച് അകലെ പിടിച്ചിരുത്തിയാലും കുട്ടി തിരിച്ച് ടിവിയുടെ അടുത്തേക്ക് പോകുന്ന ഒരു സൈൻ ആണെന്നാണ് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്.
അതെ, അതിന്റെ അർത്ഥം കുട്ടിക്ക് ആ പർട്ടിക്കുലർ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസിൽ കുട്ടിക്ക് കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല, അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് അവൻ അടുത്ത് പോയിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഷോർട്ട് സൈറ്റ് ഉണ്ടോ എന്നൊരു സംശയം നാച്ചുറലി നമുക്ക് വരും. രണ്ടാമത്, ചില കുട്ടികളെ പേരൻസ് പറയുന്നത് വെച്ചാൽ നേരെ നോക്കത്തില്ല, അവരിങ്ങനെ ചെരിഞ്ഞാണ് നോക്കുന്നത്. എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു കാര്യം കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഇങ്ങനെ ചെരിഞ്ഞു പോകുന്നു ഡോക്ടർ. അതും ഒരു സൈനാണ് കാഴ്ച ക്ലിയർ ആവാത്തത്. അസ്റ്റിഗ്മാറ്റിസത്തിലാണ് യൂഷ്വലി കുട്ടികൾ ഇങ്ങനെ തല ചരിച്ചു പിടിച്ച് ഒരു പർട്ടിക്കുലർ ആംഗിളിൽ നോക്കുന്നത്. പിന്നെ ചില കുട്ടികൾക്ക് ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് കോങ്കണ്ണ് വരുന്നത് കാണാം. അതും പേരൻസ് പറയും, ചില കാര്യങ്ങൾ എപ്പോഴും ഇല്ല ഡോക്ടറെ, എന്തെങ്കിലും ദൂരെ നോക്കുമ്പോൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അടുത്ത് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ എന്റെ കുട്ടിക്ക് ഇടയ്ക്ക് കോങ്കണ്ണ് വരുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ പലരും അതൊരു ചെറിയ പ്രശ്നമായിട്ട് അങ്ങ് തള്ളിക്കളയാറുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ അങ്ങനെ വരുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഡെഫിനറ്റ്ലി ഒന്ന് കണ്ണ് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യേണ്ടതായിട്ടുണ്ട്. ബിക്കോസ് ഈ രണ്ട് കണ്ണും അലൈൻഡ് ആവാത്തത് ഒരു വിഷൻ പ്രോബ്ലം തന്നെയാണ്. അത് വിഷൻ കൊണ്ടുവരാം, മസിൽസിന്റെ പ്രോബ്ലം കൊണ്ടുവരാം. അപ്പോൾ കണ്ണിന്റെ കാഴ്ച ഒക്കെ ഡീറ്റെയിൽ ആയിട്ട് കണ്ണിന്റെ ഫുൾ ഒരു ചെക്കപ്പ് നടത്തേണ്ട ആവശ്യമാണ്. പിന്നെ ചില കുട്ടികൾക്ക് അല്ലാത്ത തന്നെ സിംറ്റംസ് ഉണ്ടാവാം, അല്ലാതെ അവരുടെ കണ്ണിങ്ങനെ സ്റ്റഡി ആയിട്ട് ഇരിക്കത്തില്ല, ഇളകിക്കൊണ്ടേയിരിക്കും, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്കൂളിൽ ഉള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കാൻ ഒരു ഉണ്ടാവും, എല്ലാം അടുത്ത് പിടിച്ചു നോക്കും. ഇതൊക്കെ ജനറലി ഒരു സയൻസ് ആണ്, കാഴ്ചക്കുറവിന്റെ സയൻസ് തന്നെയാണ്.
അപ്പൊ രണ്ടാമത്തെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഹൗ ഓഫൺ ഡു യു ഹാവ് ടു, എത്ര ഓഫൺ നമ്മൾ ഒരു ചെക്കപ്പ് നടത്തണം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് രണ്ടാമത്തെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. റെഗുലർ ആയിട്ട് വന്ന ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ്.
ഞാൻ ഓൾറെഡി അത് പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നു. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞപ്പോ കുട്ടിക്ക് പ്രശ്നമൊന്നുമില്ല എന്ന് നമ്മൾ തോന്നുന്നു, എന്റെ കുട്ടിക്ക് കാഴ്ചയ്ക്കൊന്നും പ്രശ്നമില്ല, അവൻ എല്ലാ ഡേ ടു ഡേ ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസും ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പോലും അവൻ സ്കൂളിൽ പോകുന്ന ഒരു കുട്ടിയാണെങ്കിൽ അവന് കണ്ണിന് ഒരു പ്രശ്നം ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ പോലും വർഷത്തിൽ ഒരിക്കൽ ഒന്ന് കണ്ണ് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യേണ്ടതാണ്. ബിക്കോസ് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, നമ്മളെ പോലെയല്ല, കുട്ടികളുടെ കണ്ണുകൾ ഇങ്ങനെ വളർന്നുകൊണ്ടേയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അവരുടെ ശരീരം വളരുന്നതനുസരിച്ച് അവരുടെ കണ്ണും വളർന്നുകൊണ്ടേയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോ എന്താ പറ്റുന്നതെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ, ഇപ്പോ കഴിഞ്ഞ വർഷം കുട്ടിക്ക് പ്രോബ്ലം ഇല്ലായിരുന്നു, പക്ഷെ ഈ വർഷം കുട്ടിക്ക് ഷോർട്ട് സൈറ്റ് വന്നുകൂടാന്നില്ല. അതുപോലെ അസ്റ്റിഗ്മാറ്റിസം ചിലപ്പോ ക്രോപ്പ് അപ്പ് ചെയ്യാം. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാ വർഷവും ഒരു ഐ ചെക്കപ്പ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത് ഒരു ആവശ്യമാണ്. ഇനിയിപ്പോ കണ്ണിന് പ്രോബ്ലം ഉള്ള കുട്ടിയാണെങ്കിൽ 6 monthly ആണ് യൂഷ്വലി നമ്മൾ അഡ്വൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. പിന്നെ ഈ പാൻഡമിക് ഉള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് അറ്റ്ലീസ്റ്റ് വൺസ് എ ഇയർ എന്തായാലും ഒന്ന് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യണം.
പിന്നെ വേറൊരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്, മൊബൈൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഡിവൈസ് സ്മോളർ ആവും തോറും കണ്ണിന് സ്ട്രെയിൻ കൂടുന്നതും ഡിവൈസ് വലുതാവും തോറും കണ്ണിന് സ്ട്രെയിൻ കുറയുന്നുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളൊരു മിത്താണോ അതൊരു ഫാക്ട് ആണോ എന്നുള്ളതാണ്.
അത് മിത്തല്ല, അത് കറക്റ്റ് ആണ്. ബിക്കോസ് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, നമ്മുടെ കണ്ണിന് നിയർ വർക്ക് ആണ് കൂടുതൽ സ്ട്രെയിൻ. because continuous near work. First of all, our eyes are not built to look at screens. Okay. We have not been programmed to look at screens. നമ്മൾ ബുക്സ് വായിക്കുന്ന പോലെ അല്ല നമ്മൾ ഒരു സ്ക്രീനിൽ ഒരു കാര്യം വായിക്കുന്നതും കാണുന്നതും. അപ്പോൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് തിങ് ഇസ് ദാറ്റ് ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് വളരെ അടുത്താണ്. ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് വൺ തിങ്. സോ സ്മോളർ ദ ഡിവൈസ്, more zoom you have to exert for the near work. സൂം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാല് ഇപ്പൊ 40 വയസ്സിന് മേലുള്ള ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ആ വ്യത്യാസം മനസ്സിലാവും. ചെറിയ കുട്ടികൾക്കും യങ് അഡൾട്ട്സിനും 40 വയസ്സ് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് വായിക്കാൻ ഒരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് വരും. അതിനാണ് വെള്ളെഴുത്ത് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പോഴാണ് നമ്മൾ ഇത്രയും നാളും ഉപയോഗിച്ചിരുന്ന ആ സൂം നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടു പോയോ എന്നുള്ള ഒരു വിഷമം നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാവുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ ചെറിയ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് നല്ല സൂം ഉണ്ട്, പക്ഷെ അതുകൊണ്ട് അവർക്ക് ആ പ്രശ്നം വരത്തില്ല. പക്ഷെ കണ്ടിന്യൂസ് നമ്മൾ അടുത്തേക്ക് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മള് ലെൻസ് പൊസിഷൻ മാറ്റുന്നു, നമ്മുടെ ഐബോളിന്റെ ഷേപ്പ് തന്നെ മാറി ആകെ നമ്മൾ സൂം നിയറിലേക്ക് വരുത്തുന്ന ഒരു സ്ട്രെയിൻവസ് പ്രോസസ്സാണ്. കണ്ടിന്യൂസ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ നിയർ അപ്പാരറ്റസ് ടയേർഡ് ആവും. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ വളരെ ചെറിയ ഡിവൈസസ് നിന്ന് ഡെഫിനറ്റ്ലി കുറച്ചുകൂടെ വലിയ ഡിവൈസസ് ആണ് കണ്ണിന് എപ്പോഴും better.
Yeah, so someone has typed, can you stick to English? So,
yeah, sure. I can.
Yeah.
See, what I meant is that your eyes are not always programmed to look at screens, and the smaller the device, greater is the strain on your near apparatus. So when you're in a daily routine daily activity, this doesn't happen because you're looking at near, you're looking at far. So for example, you're going to school, you have outdoors, you have indoors. Every time is not just spent indoors. You have why do you have PT period? Just for the same thing, so that your eyes can relax. When you look at distance, your eyes are relaxed. When you're looking at near, it's like doing a push-up. Your eye muscles are doing a push-up. So constant near activity is definitely giving your eyes a strain. That is one.
You would highly recommend people who are using mobile device to convert their children screen into a laptop or at the barest of the minimum attack,
yes,
right?
Especially for online classes. If
Right.
they're using mobiles, I'd recommend that you switch over to laptops or desktops. Or if you can't do that, you can mirror your phone to your TV. You know, there are so many ways you can mirror your TV. You can connect a cable from your phone to the TV and you can watch the same content in a bigger medium. So there are options, a lot of options. You buy a cable, suitable cable, and you can do that. Secondly, the screens have a constantly changing contrast, glare, flicker, pixels. So if you ever know if you're somebody in the computer field, you'll know that it's a lot of pixels, it's a play of pixels. So the colors, the contrast, the glare, the flicker, everything is constantly changing. So all this is not very comfortable for our eyes. It's after some time it becomes hurtful. That is when you start developing all this digital eye strain.
Yes. How often do you have to relax your eyes? In fact, either close your eyes or look towards a distance. How often do you have to do that is the next question.
Yeah, I already told you. For adults, what I usually tell is 20-20-20 rule. That is, every 20 minutes, take a 20-second break and look something 20 feet away. Now, this is not very practical. Okay, especially you're working in your room, closed space, there's nothing for you to look at 20 feet most of the time. So what I usually tell is that after 30 to 45 minutes, most of the kids are having 40 minutes, 30 minutes of online classes. After that, there's going to be a 10 minutes break. So what I tell them is you go out into your balcony. Even the smallest house will have a balcony or or open your door and look out into the open space, so that you're relaxing your eyes. You're taking the strain away from the near work. But what I usually see is that 5 minutes break undegi, they're looking at WhatsApp, what's happening. So I think that should be discouraged. And after every 40 minutes.
So you would say 20 minutes is the right time, 30 minutes, right?
20 minutes is the advisable time, but most often that's difficult to follow because most classes are there for 30 to 40 minutes. No. So at least after the class, you take a 5 minutes to 10 minutes break, go out and look into, stand in your balcony and look outside, look at the trees and the scenery and, or you can catch up with your neighbor. If your friend is there in the balcony, you can catch up with your friend, something like that you can do.
You got the message. So quickly, we'll take a couple of more questions. One of the questions is, do we have to get worried about dark circles in children? Can we quickly
dark circles?
Yeah.
Okay. See,
is it got to do with screen time is what the question is maybe.
See, sometimes dark circles happen when your eyes are tired, like, you don't sleep well or you're stressed out. That happens. But most of the time, the dark circles is because, so if you look at the eyes, the eyes are placed inside a bony socket. Okay. So bony socket is like there is a hole in the skull into which the eyes are fitted. Now that hole may be deeper in some people, shallower in some. So the depth of that hole is variable from person to person. Some people may have very deep sockets. Some have very shallow sockets. Coupled with the fact that, the skin around your eyes is, there is no fat in this area. This area, there is no fat. Whereas there is fat on your cheeks and the skin around your eyes is not having any fat. So what happens? There is a contrast in the color between the cheek and the eye. That's very often when parents come and tell me that my child is having dark circles. It's just most of the time it's just because they have a deep socket and the difference in the color is perceived as a darkness. So if your child is sleeping well and is eating well and otherwise healthy and happy,
then it should be fine.
It shouldn't be a problem.
So next question quickly is, does using a Blu-ray protective glasses that is available at the shops help in real terms, or is it just a marketing?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that also. See, this is all important only if your child is using these Android phones with blue light. Most of the Android phones have blue light, and some of them now have the option to switch over to the night mode, but most of them have the blue light. So when you're this blue light is, I told you, it tricks your brain to believing that you're still in daylight. So at night and during the day also, sometimes your entire sleep-awake pattern is disturbed. So there are certain hormones which are released at night, which help you to sleep well, which help you to eat well, which help you to adjust the mood depending on the day and night, So there is a big, disturbance in this mechanism, and your sleep is disturbed. So if your child is spending a lot of time in front of blue light phones, then it's a good idea to put a blue screen. But if you're using a laptop or desktop, I don't think that should be a concern.
We've just got a very interesting question. What eye exercise can we make them do? As far as, do we have any eye exercise?
First of all, I'd like to say that there is no eye exercise like that. So the only exercise which I recommend for children who are using screens is to relax your eyes and looking at distance. So in your day-to-day activity, your eyes are moving in all directions, isn't it? You're looking left, right, up, down. All those things are naturally happening. You don't have to ask your child to do that. But the only exercise which I tell them is to reduce the near work and to look far. Try to look far and relax your eyes. That is the only exercise which I usually tell them. Some exercises are there which are sometimes given specifically in certain conditions, like if your child has a squint or a muscle problem, but in general there are no eye exercises like that.
Okay, so, and it's also about redirecting your time in front of your screen. I mean, other than wasting a lot of screen time watching a lot of non-informative material, it is better to redirect your screen time is one of the suggestions, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I said. Structured screen time is important. So definitely screens are going to be with us. We are going to move ahead with online platforms. So we have to make the best use of it. We have to be smart, screen smart. That's what I would say,
Yes.
For that, we have to sit with them and see what they're watching. See, very often the parents are, I would say sometimes you have to, it's easy for them. So you give a phone to a 2-year-old child. He or she will sit quietly for hours, won't even cry. But otherwise, to manage a 2-year-old toddler is difficult. So it's easy. Sometimes I have seen parents just giving the phone to them, and this kid would have learned how to even watch YouTube videos before even, speaking a word. So that's, that's a wrong practice. You are encouraging this wrong practice, and then you are complaining that your child is addicted to phone. So that is also one reason. So you have to inculcate healthy practices among yourselves. So when you're with the kid, try not to fiddle too much with the gadgets, You keep your phone away, attend calls only if you're required. So that will make sure that the child will also, follow suit.
And see, there are a lot of questions in terms of wearing a protective glass before going into a system. So do you suggest as a sort of a glass that helps the child to minimize the screen time effect?
See, that's what I was saying. If there are two types of, protective screens. One is you can put a screen in front of your computer to reduce the glare. That's called as an anti-glare screen. So if you think your screen is having a lot of glare and the light in your room and the screen light is too much, is not adjustable, then you can put an anti-glare screen in front of your computer or desktop to reduce the glare. I don't generally advise, anti-glare screens for the kids. It's usually advised for people who are outdoors, who travel a lot outdoors, who ride bikes and who are outdoors mainly. So you could try putting an anti-glare screen on the computer. Most of the newer ones have anti-glare screen, but in case yours doesn't have, you can do that. Then the question of blue light blocking filter glasses, I already explained. That is applicable if you are using too much of blue light.
So, we have a lot of questions. Otherwise, if parents directly would like to ask questions, we recommend them to straight away live ask questions. Or if otherwise, you can even type your questions here so that I can read it loud and doctor can answer that question for you. So there is a question: a 5-year child having watery eyes and itching along with squint symptoms. What kind of test is recommended for this particular situation? Is a question from a parent.
With squint?
Yeah, with squint symptoms.
Okay, so definitely you need to have a comprehensive eye checkup, starting with vision and looking at what is causing the squint, whether is it a vision problem or is it a muscle problem. So for that, you need to consult an eye specialist, preferably a pediatric ophthalmologist, where they will extensively examine your child's eye, right from the vision, the structure of the eye, the functioning of the eye, and tell you what's the problem. Is it a vision problem, or is it a problem with using both eyes together, or is it something as simple as allergy? So you need to have a total eye checkup, since you have the tendency
so it's a holistic eye checkup, or do we have a specific eye checkup for this?
See, anybody coming to the hospital, most of the times, unless it's an emergency, we have a complete eye checkup. So somebody coming with an emergency like, injury or a severe redness, infections, that's the only time we restrict our checkups to the, concerned condition. Yes.
Do we have questions?
Yeah, there's a question on the screen from Grishma Hagina.
Okay. Yes, doctor. Thanks for addressing that.
Yeah, so your question was, how do we suddenly stop, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Because even it's like, I take the complete this thing, because I was also working from home, and most of the time when I'm on call, I don't want him to come and disturb me and all that. So the easy way, like you said, is to provide a mobile and keep him aside. So gradually it is also taking a toll on him. It is not really good. It can affect the vision and the mental ability as well. Definitely, I totally understand that, because we're completely locked down at the moment. So mental ability is also getting affected. So how do we slowly take it out? Because this is also like a addiction kind of a thing, right? Because he's used into something every day before, even brushing the teeth. The first thing was to take a mobile. And I was actually not, really worried or anything, because I also had some kitchen work to be completed before I work and all that. So so I thought I'll just hear from you on how to slowly take it, because it is definitely an addiction. So
yeah. So once you realize that they are addicted, so it's difficult to suddenly stop it. I agree. So you need to wean them off. So for that, if it's an older kid, you could talk to the kid and tell them about it, or you could ask somebody other than the parent, probably, because most of the time when it comes straight from the parent, they feel it's like they are always behind us. So preferably some grandparents or even a friend whom you can confide into, telling them that you need to cut down on this. So that would be a good idea, or somebody whom they will listen to. Second thing is, as I told you, that is, children are not very particular that they have to be always on screen time. Now, why did he turn to the screens? Because there was nothing else to do. So you have to engage them in some meaningful activities. So sometimes it is possible, if you are physically at home, to engage them, like sit with them, do some activity which he or she likes, like painting, or it could be anything, drawing, or again, it's something which doesn't involve the phone. Okay. Third thing is to involve them. Now, give them some task, like, they can clean the house, help you in cleaning, help you in chopping, in the daily activities. So time will go like that. And, sometimes I've seen that, sometimes some kids are very difficult to manage. They just go into aggression and they go into tantrums. Getting a pet is sometimes useful. I have tried this with some of my friends, and nothing works. Getting a pet, they are just so happy, because they will just devote all their attention. They have a lot of energy, and they have a lot of unused time, and so much of energy in these young kids, which needs to be spent on outdoors, which is not happening. So that is all the frustration they are having, and some of that is sometimes manifested as aggression. So sometimes it could be like getting them a pet, or getting them a bicycle, which they can go out and cycle for some time. So it's very difficult. I do understand. Sometimes they need counseling. You may have to talk to their friends, or you may have to talk to their teachers, but it should never be a direct no, because And you also have to set the example. See, most of the time they look at you, say, they will immediately ask, what about you? You are watching all these things. And immediately we say that I'm older. No, that's not the way. So you also do follow all these rules. You remove your phone from, the tech-free zones, and, during the tech-free times, you don't use your phone. You can show them that if you can do it, so can you. So these are some ways in which you can come around and, try to get them out of this bad habit. But I would say, you can give them the phones or the, mobiles in a restricted manner to begin with, you can put times, like a lot of these social media platforms and a lot of these gaming zones have time limits which the parents can set in, after which it will just go off. So if it's very difficult, you can even use that technology to control the screen time. But I think being compassionate and being, approachable is the right way, rather than, being straight out saying, no, it's not for you. So that will make them more rebellious.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So do we have more questions from parents?
I think there are a lot of questions.
Yes. Regarding mirroring image of letters and numbers, what do you think, doctor? That is a question that is put in.
I didn't get it. What is that? Mirror images of letters and numbers.
Mirror image of letters and numbers.
Children writing the letters and numbers as opposite? Is that what you meant?
Have to be a little more.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what that's what you meant. That is, some children have confusion. They'll write B the other way or L the other way. Is that the query? If that's the query, I would say that that's a very common, I wouldn't say problem. A lot of kids have that. They usually get over it once they are older. But if they have this problem which persists, you have to take them and see if they have any learning problems like dyslexia or anything. But most of the time, it's very common. They get over it. And it's confusing for adults also sometimes. So they get over it. So if your child is otherwise okay, and it's in this kindergarten or pre-primary, he or she is having this, just be consistent, they will be all right.
And one question we keep getting is, can you suggest a good parental control app?
Well, I don't use any of them, honestly, because first of all, I have not given my child WhatsApp. No WhatsApp in my child's phone. All the WhatsApp messages come to me. So I send it to her phone by messages. So WhatsApp is definitely something which I don't want to give it to my child, because see, even we know ourselves, isn't it? It's a temptation to check a WhatsApp message is so immense. Even while I'm having this talk to you, if I have the phone next to me, I am extremely tempted to check the WhatsApp. Because, you have the sense of feeling of losing connection with the world if I don't check WhatsApp. See, if at your age, if you're having this difficulty, you could imagine the temptation your kid is having. So I'm not giving WhatsApp I don't give WhatsApp to my daughter. Instead, I take the WhatsApp messages and I forward them to her phone. And her phone has just basic incoming and outgoing. And she's 16 years old. She's not on any social media platforms. So I think by the time they're 18, you can allow it, because theoretically they're adults. So till the time they're 18, it's my opinion, many parents may differ with me, that it's a good idea not to give any social media platforms to them. However smart they are, they can easily get carried away by the amount of influence you have on social media. So absolutely. I feel it's safer, because but there are a lot of kids who use it with parental control. Some of them may be able to control the influences, but some are not. So I don't give the social media platforms very openly to the children. But there are some apps, if you want, I can find out and tell you. Even Google, Twitter, and Facebook has such provisions in which parents can control. Google has this, parental control. You can set limit, and certain mobile games also have this parental control time. You can set in the time. You can play for 1 hour, and then you can, probably it will go off. Beyond that, it will not come. But I can find out for you. But I haven't tried this, but it is definitely there.
Wonderful. So moving on to the next question, doctor. Does reading book in the wrong posture cause eye trouble? Reading books in the wrong posture.
Yes. See, as I told you earlier, posture is very important for any work. So if your child is having the habit of reading books in a particular posture other than in the upright posture, lying down or something, it's definitely not good. First of all, because the light won't be adequate. And some kids will have the habit of reading at bedtime in dim light or in an inclined position. So the position, the glare, the contrast, the lighting, everything will be affected. And also, because you're not in the upright position, your neck and your head also are at a uncomfortable position. So these are the concerns.
Wonderful. So I think we have answered quite a lot of questions, a lot of interaction from parents. Do we have many other questions which went unanswered? Just a minute. If any parents would like to come and ask direct questions without keying into the inbox, you can ask right now.
So there is a question called, does astigmatism progress with age?
Yes, does astigmatism progress with age? Yeah.
So generally, astigmatism is because of the shape of your cornea. Cornea is the black portion in front of your eye. Krishnamani ennu nammal parayille. Adana cornea. So Krishnamaniyude curvature kondulla varuna oru kaazhakkoravaanu astigmatism. So the curvature of the cornea decides astigmatism. Normally, it doesn't change after 2.5 years, because by the time your cornea's shape is set. But minor changes can happen. When I say minor changes, it means like 0.25 to 0.5 can happen sometimes, but beyond that, it doesn't happen. If it happens beyond that, then you ought to be concerned, and you ought to ask your doctor whether he or she has any diseases in which the curvature can increase. So that would be one concern your doctor would be addressing. But generally, it doesn't change after a particular age, unless you have some eye surgery or you get some injury in your eye, which can produce these things.
So I guess with this, there's one more question that has come. Okay. So I guess with this, our allotted time is almost over. And if there are many other questions from the parents, they can mail to us. And of course, doctor will definitely reply to that question. Right, doctor?
Yeah, I can do that.
So I think there are some of the key takeaways from this. I thought we had a wonderful, informative session from you, doctor. Thank you. Thanks a lot for that. I think as parents, we were desperate for these kind of informations, because it has been about 1 year since our children are stuck in front of the system without having any choice of going out or anything of that sort. And that is where we thought it is really, really important to address this issue. Thanks a lot, doctor, for these critical and informative way of putting things across. So some of the key takeaways are right screen time. Okay, we really can't avoid screen time. So it is right screen time, regular 30 minutes break, right? Outdoor activities and involving ourselves as parents, which is not really easy. We know that, but involving ourselves as parents is also very, very, very important. And in a quest to keep on addressing issues that goes around with parents, we from Telltellers would like to keep doing these kind of webinars and events. And if you would like to be a part of it, please do message us with your feedbacks. With that, I'm guessing we should be coming to the end of this event. Thanks a lot for all parents also for participating actively and sticking on for more than an hour. And a very, very special thanks to you, Dr. Neena, for this wonderful session. Vinny, would you like to add something on to this, Elizabeth?
No, nothing more.
Thank you very much.
I just
so much. That's all. That's all. And maybe we can just give out our website for those people who would like to access our website. We'll put it in the comment box.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Doctor, once again on behalf of all of us. It was a pleasure to have you on board with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, and thank you all parents. Thank you all children. Yeah.
Thank you. Is it possible to actually? Is it possible to share the video of this so that
absolutely,
I can?
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, it's
I know there is a concern that you had mentioned that your child has to see it personally. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sure. Because I have been providing lectures like it is not
fact,
good.
We as
actually, we didn't ask the little ones. Do the little ones have any questions? All the parents ask questions. Do the little ones have any questions? We should give them a chance to, isn't it?
He got distracted.
Are you sure the little one will ask parent agnostic questions? I'm just joking.
No, I think, see, that's what I wanted to say, that you should, I think we should take off that approach and we should consider them like friends, you know.
Absolutely.
So once they get the feeling that, you know, we are their friends, you know, they'll definitely come around. So at least I can say from my experience, the more you say no, it's difficult. The more you say, you know, it is possible with, you know, if you do this and give some, you know, it's like give them some deals and, you know, you can, you know, get away with these things if you do this. So it's like coaxing and cajoling, and finally they become your friends, and then, you know, things.
That is true. But then, you know, I try to be really friendly with him, and then I tell him that I'm your best friend, you are my best friend. We don't have any friends as of now since we are locked down and all that. And if I make him do something, then he asks, "What is the reward that I get for it? Is it the biscuit or is it the Snickers?" So he's like, I mean, these children nowadays is not like how we really think, right? So otherwise, he'll ask me, "Amma, can you type some, you know, toy's name?" He'll say, "Can you type that and see if that is available? You can give me that as a reward for making me right. You were so annoying. You were making me right," and all that.
I think that's another class, I think, but you should not give them any materialistic rewards, because they will be like a reflex action, you know.
Oh yeah, it is.
So that's also not good. So probably that probably we can have another session on it.
Okay. All right, sure.
Okay, so shall we wind up?
We will wind up the session, doctor. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all parents. Thank you. Bye.